Hey guys, Jay-Games here again. This movie of Takemichi was raised by Keizo. Now, the series was left off around a month ago, but Tokyo Revengers anime is catching up to the series, so I'm getting ahead of it. So yeah, now left off basically the Black Dragon arc, basically where it began. So I'm gonna go through it. So Takemichi would have to return to the future, and when he gets to the future, he would end up in very, I guess, high-end clothing. Takemichi just basically kind of wears like a suit, but like the tie is a little more ragged because he can't tie it properly. But as he's walking around the store, he then realizes Chifuyu's behind him. Takemichi then actually turns around and whispers to Chifuyu, "What the hell's going on?" And Chifuyu then says, "Don't tell me." That's gonna be a pain in the ass for me. I'm saying that's Chifuyu. Chifuyu's like, run down saying, "Well, you're going shopping because you're hungry, but we have a meeting with other Toman and gang admins in like 10 minutes." Takemichi says, what's my position in Toman?" And Chifuyu will say, Your position in Toman is basically the first, like, basically the leader, or well, not like basically second income. Like, you and Mikey and Kisaki now are basically the same level as leaders. Dimitri's a little confused, like, why the hell is Kisaki in the gang? And Kifuyu brings up that Kisaki had joined the gang basically as an adult, proving like he was able to convince Mikey and Draken he had changed, but he didn't. Dimitri just sighs, saying, "Damn it. Do what? Does he have to give me at the meeting?" And that's when Chifuyu says, "Well, you aren't really going to be a part of the meeting. You're going to be spectating. And Pachi and Payan are going to be there because when you've seen them for years, so be happy." So he says, "I plan on being happy about it." So Takemichi will grab his food as when Chifuyu leave, and they attend the meeting. Now about Takemichi, he takes tabs on all members of Toman in case they do die or end up in prison in the future, because he doesn't want him to end up like Draken or Baji. Well, he fixed Baji, but he doesn't want another Baji situation. I say Baji or Baji, but he doesn't want like a Draken or Baji situation. He doesn't want one, so he would keep tabs on all members of Toman. So you can like sit in the corner of like the cafe they're in, and you realize Sakai Shiba is an ex-member of Toman. Then it kind of whispers to Shuyu saying, "What the hell's up with that?" Shuyu brings up saying, "Something happened with the Black Dragons, and well, Sakai's family was in the Black Dragons, and something happened to where he had to leave Toman and join them." So Takemichi just sighs, saying, "There's one thing I need to fix." But suddenly he would get a text from Kisaki, and Takemichi says, "Why the hell is this bastard on my phone?" Shuyu then says, kind of forced. Takemichi then actually just says, he's not to leave, but it was nice seeing Pachin and Payon. So he leaves and goes basically around back and goes up to the office where Kisaki is, and they start drinking. Well, not they start. They take a few drinks, and they pass out of it being laced with something. And they wake up. They're tied to chairs, and Takemichi's first one to wake. And when he realizes he's awake, he basically kicks Chifuyu's chair over to wake him up. Chifuyu's like, what the hell happened?" Kisaki didn't notice Takemichi was awake and just turned around with a gun, saying, "What the hell?" That's what Takemichi says, Why'd you tie us up, and why'd you drug us?" Saki brings up how he had so many plans for Toman, but Takemichi just had to ruin it by being him. Takemichi chuckles, saying, I kind of guess you had plans, and so I was forcing myself to ruin them. Because something was off about Toman from the very minute I joined it." Saki then says, "So instinct drove you to ruin Toman?" Takemichi says, I didn't ruin it. I kept it pure. I kept it good-hearted. But that changed along the way." Saki then says, "Yeah, somewhat. Just because of your good-hearted personality, Toman is in two factions. Your faction and my faction." So this is Takemichi chuckles as he kind of got just that from what Chifuyu told him earlier, saying, "Yeah, we were the bit." Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, so Kisaki had tied them up, and eventually he reveals that there's a rat in Toman, or an informant, and Chifuyu would just yell, "It's me." And reality, I think it's more likely that was Kazutora, but Chifuyu was just covering. But Fuyu still gets shot, the lights still go out, Kisaki is still beaten up, and Takemichi is still just let out by Kazutora. Kazutora then ends up bringing Takemichi to an underpass, and he brings up that when he was on his way there, he had saw some men beating on a woman, and he overheard that the members of Tomon. But then some more members of Tomon end up coming up and beating those guys up, and he asks what that's about. Takemichi then says, ever since like, how does he say this? He says, since Mikey basically went off the grid, he has been filling in like the lighthearted part of Tomon, like the very dim light of Tomon, because Kisaki's making that light dim and dim, basically dimmer by day. Like he's making it like dimmer day by day, but he's still trying to find some good in it. Because Tora thinks that's pretty good, and says even for not being a founding member, you have the heart of one. So Takemichi kind of just smiles, saying he's trying his best. But eventually, Takemichi will see lights in the distance, and Kazutora reveals those are cop cars. So when they arrive, Takemichi then actually asks Kazutora what happened to the members of Tomon that beat up those other members. Kazutora says they took those women to the hospital and paid their bills. Takemichi smiles as he allows himself to get arrested by Naoto, and eventually Naoto does bring Takemichi to his office in handcuffs and says, we have like, you're here for murder, basically. Takemichi would be like, what do you mean murder? Like, I killed someone? And Naoto puts a clip of a meeting with him and Kisaki. Kisaki probably wants to kill Hina because when they're teenagers, basically, Hina knew a little too much, and if she does turn on them one day, it could lead to a lot of them getting arrested. Especially Takemichi, because he was one of despite him not having a violent personality, he was one of the more violent ones. Takemichi then says he doesn't really care if he gets arrested. If it happens, it happens, but you're not killing Hina. As him and Hina did break up, but they're actually really good friends still. And eventually, Kisaki does say, "All right, then what do you do if I don't give in?" And he stands up, slamming his hand on the table as Kisaki pulls up a gun. But basically, like you from the boxer, suddenly his arm is pulled up, but Kisaki's like, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" And like I said, like you from the boxer, you're basically into Kisaki's head. It feels like a chunk of his head was punched away. As you see, like the area where basically something's missing, but even though there's nothing there, there's nothing missing, but it looks like there is. And Takemichi's fist is caked in blood as Kisaki falls to the ground, bleeding from his nose, one of his eyes, and his mouth. So Takemichi says, like you said, I don't have a violent personality, but I'm probably the most violent member here. Kisaki is so nervous that he tells all of his men to rush at Takemichi, and not all of them, but like some of the ones that were there, like 10 guys were there. And Takemichi, without remorse, would begin beating them up effortlessly. Now, eventually, the last guy just kind of basically axe kicks in the neck, and Naoto says, out of the 10 guys, 3 of them died. So that's when Takemichi says, "Oh, well, is Hina okay at least?" Naoto says, "No, she did die, and it was by Tomon." Takemichi's like, how did she die? I said no, they can't do it. Naoto reveals that some of Takemichi's faction members said their families were threatened, some of them were killed, and then some of them were bribed. Like the families were killed, or they were threatened, and then some of them were actually bribed. Takemichi is a little pissed off, saying, "Damn it, Kisaki." That's when Takemichi actually has an idea, saying, "I have a question. Do you mind if we go to my house? But you're going to run the locks changed on everything, and you're gonna have the doors just reinforced. Keep me in my house. You can stay in my room. I'll stay in the living room. But repeatedly, I'll be going back to the past, and find Kazutora and have him be one of the guards that stays outside my house." Naoto has that set up, and when they shake hands, Takemichi ends up going back to the past, and he's in the bowling alley. He had hit a strike, the same pose. And he looks to his right, seeing Hakai, Shiba, but still member Tomon. So Takemichi says, "Oh, hey, Hakai." And says, "Oh, for First Division Captain Takemichi." Takemichi and Hakai began talking, and Yuzuha, basically the whole thing kind of goes the same, but Hakai's having a lot more respect. Because Takemichi, for one, he's one of the most respected members in Tomon. Some of them even respect him more than Mikey and Draken. Like the whole thing with like the Valhalla fight, that earned him a lot of street cred. And he did earn a title, but let me actually, yeah, we have a good nickname for him. So Takemichi basically earned a nickname. Mikey's Invincible Mikey. Draken his nickname is Draken. So, yeah. But Takemichi, his title basically was earned as Hachiman, basically the god of war. So, this Takemichi's title is basically Hachiman. And Hakai brings up saying, "Oh yeah, did you hear about that? You basically have a nickname in the streets now, Hachiman." Takemichi thinks it's kind of funny, but says, call me you, whatever you want. I don't really care." But Hakai actually offers to bring Takemichi, just offer to hang out with Takemichi for the day, because Takemichi says he doesn't have anything planned, and Hakai doesn't have anything planned to hang out with his sister. So as they walk to Hakai's house, they turn the corner, and they see a large group of black dragons. Takemichi then just he remembers what Chifuyu said, that basically something happened with Hakai's family and black dragons that Hakai had to join. Takemichi says, "Black dragons." And Hakai, "Your family is involved with them, aren't they?" Kai kind of gets nervous, saying, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And sometimes Takemichi says, "From this day on, your family's no longer involved." Yuzuha says, what are you talking about?" And Senkoku says, "What a cocky brat. You don't have Takemichi going for a kick, but the moment his foot leaves the ground, Takemichi appears right behind him, kicking him in the side of the head, and he's knocked unconscious, as blood would pour out his mouth. Inui is a little nervous, but suddenly Takemichi looks to his right, seeing Taiju charging at him, and basically Takemichi just right hooked Taiju in the jaw, and Taiju sent flying across a large group of black dragons. And so Takemichi says, "An ambush is pretty cowardly, if you ask me. The fact you guys think you can challenge a member of Tomon is idiotic. In fact, you can beat one is even more idiotic." He runs at Inui, kicking Inui in the face, knocking him out. And Hakai and Yuzuha are more stuck on the fact that Taiju sent flying. Taiju gets up holding his jaw, saying, what the hell just happened? But he tries to look at Takemichi, and Takemichi kicks him in the face, saying, "I never said you could look at me." Taiju tries to get back up, but Takemichi just keeps punching Taiju back down to the ground. Eventually, kind of like Gray Yeon, in his flashback, when he was in middle school, he picks up Taiju by the hair, begins to slap him in the face, as he then just... So, Hakai kind of brought up, they haven't really had that good of a family life. And Takemichi kind of questioned it, as Hakai then says, "As the person that raises us, likes to put his hands on this." And Takemichi can already tell that's Taiju, because Taiju's body is a little too tied up. Plus, he's the leader of a gang, as he's a kid. Not a kid, but very young. Now, so is Mikey, but Mikey's grandpa can't do too much besides hang out with Emma. But yeah. Now, off that topic, back to this. Takemichi begins slapping Taiju till Taiju then just has to beg for Takemichi to stop. And Hakai had actually brought Yuzuha and Hina around the corner and called Mitsuya. Mitsuya happened to hang out with Draken, so Draken and Mitsuya arrived there. And during this time, Takemichi basically beat up every black dragon there. And Takemichi would then say, "Oh, Draken, Mitsuya, what are you guys doing here?" He's holding up a black dragon by the hair, and he's punching him in the face. Draken says, "Let me guess, the guys pissed you off?" Listen to Takemichi says, "Yeah, a little bit." He kind of chuckles, saying, well, they can't really piss off anyone anymore. And I'm hoping that I didn't kill any of them. Draken says, "No, they're all kind of groaning and rolling around in pain, so they're alive." Then Takemichi again has a thought. But dragons cause problems for Hakai's family. Takemichi's gonna fix that. He would grab Koko, Inui, and Taiju, drag them into Hakai's apartment as Hakai, Yuzuha, Hina, Draken, and Mitsuya follow. And Takemichi, he just remembered that Shinichiro, I'm pretty sure had had Mikey tell Takemichi about Shinichiro. So Takemichi does keep tabs on all members of Tomon. He knows about Shinichiro, and then Shinichiro was linked to the Black Dragons as a leader. at least the founding member. So Takemichi's aware of Shinichiro. And eventually, Takemichi would kind of like, how do I say this? So, once he kind of like gets this plan in order, when they go inside, he kind of like, he would have Hakai, Yuza, and Hina in the other room, while Draken and Mitsuda are out here. And Hakai would actually ask Takemichi, what does he want? Like, do you want money? Do you want us, like, what do you want? Takemichi then says, hand over the leadership of Black Dragons to me. Or before he says this, actually. I'm going to go before he says this. Well, before he says this, like, Saiju asks what he wants, Takemichi says, he's leaving Tomon. Draken and Mitsuda are confused with what Takemichi would then say. I want you to hand over the leadership of Black Dragons to me. I'll be 11th generation leader. And as you two can tell, as Koko and Inui try to fake that they're knocked out still, he says, as you two can tell, yes, I know you're awake. As you two can tell, I am more fit as a leader. Koko then says, I hate to admit it, but he's right. Inui then says, I agree. Haiju then says, damn it, fine. Takemichi chuckles and, good. Now, Draken. He's calling Mikey for a Tomon meeting. Draken agrees as Akai would come out of the room with Yuzuha and Hina, and Takemichi would be having is like Hakai, he has Taiju, Koko, and Inui bowing before him as he basically kind of like tore up Taiju's jacket. And now he says, there's a Tomon meeting in a few days. I want all three of you to be there. He'd make sure that his other four friends, like Akun, Suzuki, Akun, Suzuki, Takuya, and Yamagishi, so Yamagishi and Akun, Suzuki, Takuya, and Yamamoto, to make sure that those guys arrive. Wait, actually, Akun, Takuya, Suzuki, and Yamagishi. Make sure that those four arrive as well. Now the meeting. At the meeting, Takemichi is wearing a jacket, and he had Mitsuya, Takemichi, it's in 3 days. And Akai was putting in overtime with his knitting club. Plus, Takemichi had to learn how to do it to help, and so did Mikey and Emma. So, the meeting, Takemichi behind him has dozens of duffel bags. And there's Black Dragons also behind Takemichi holding these duffel bags. And Tomon's a little confused, like why the Black Dragons here? And Takemichi, really, he is an outfit change. Instead of wearing like a usual white t-shirt, wearing a jacket, he more or less just has like a giant, basically like a similar jacket to Taiju, but yeah, so similar jacket to Taiju. Who has a black muscle, like a black skin tight shirt. Then his cargo pants on with just basic kind of like high tops. And back of his jacket, and that no one except Black Dragons, Mikey, and Draken see it. But the back of his jacket then says Bone 10, and on the shoulders say 1 and 2. And yeah, now as in Mikey then announces Takemichi is no longer the First Division vice captain, First Division captain of Tomon. Everyone's shocked, saying, is he being kicked out? Takemichi then says, no, something different happened. I became the captain of the Black Dragons. Some of them start yelling Takemichi's a traitor. That's what Mikey then says, alright, let's go over the full plan, Takemichi. Or as I should say, my ally. Everyone's shocked, as then Takemichi announces the Black Dragons and Tomon will be fusing into one gang. And now, he's going to be taking over as basically a vice captain, as he then requests everyone that has like a Tomon jacket, take it off and put it in these duffel bags that Black Dragons hand out. Black Dragons are no longer wearing Black Dragon uniforms. They more or less have like a good outfit representation. So you guys know who the Red Hood is from DC Comics, how he has like that leather coat. They have like similar jackets like that, and then Takemichi has one too, but like under his leather coat, he has a normal coat that has his hood up, and then skin tight muscle shirt. So yeah, and Black Dragons have those, and Bone 10, their symbol is more like, is just basically kind of like Sandra's earring as a sunrise. So Bone 10, we have the word on the sun, and then this brightness behind him. And yeah, Mikey has this overcoat that says Bone 10 on it. Draken has a leather coat that says Bone 10. All that dragons are wearing jackets that say Bone 10 with sunrise. Everybody's captains, and the captains, they're actually okay with this change because 1, Takemichi is heavily respected, and 2, they can't really say no unless they leave Tomon, or now Bone 10. Now Takemichi actually announces that he'll be taking someone from the first division. Everyone's a little confused, saying, "What do you mean from the first division?" As the captain of that was him, but now since he left, the captain is now Chifuyu. But Takemichi then says, "Chifuyu, you are now the second in command of the Black Dragons, or my division." Takemichi brings up that basically everyone will have their own divisions still, but something else can change. So basically, everyone's moved up one division. So let me find out all division captain. So, Chifuyu is now brought up to Takemichi's side. As basically a member of Bone 10, and Draken has like a different kind of leather jacket where you're like kind of the collar is kind of goes up to like I guess above his mouth but below his nose. So that's basically what his jacket sounds like. And he has an overcoat like Mikey, because that's basically Mikey's right hand man. While Chifuyu will get the same kind of coat as Takemichi, and then his jacket will just say 2 on it with Bone 10 at sunrise. Draken's jacket is the same thing, and this indicates that they're second in command. Then Takemichi will say, "Alright, all division commanders, step forward, and I'll be giving you your positions." These were arranged by Mikey. The ones I'm going to add on, those were arranged by me. So first division is now Mitsuya and Hakai. The second division will now go to Payon, and whoever else wants to join him. Third division will then go to Smiley and Angry. The fourth division will then be Taiju, which everyone's a little shocked by. But he says Taiju, and then with him is going to be Koko. And then 5th division, and that is going to be a vacant slot. Mucho asks about his division, being a little confused. And Takemichi brings up, you guys are going to be a hidden division of Tomon, or Bone 10. And basically make it so that you'll participate in battles, but you'll also do recon on other gangs. You're basically our research unit. But also, you're one of our more powerful group, kind of our enforcers from the shadows. So Mucho still gets the same job that his group usually had, but now it's more hidden. And says, "Oh yeah, Sanzu." He then throws something at Sanzu. Sanzu like dodges, but hits the ground, and Sanzu picks it up. Takemichi says, "This was in Taiju's room, but he didn't use it, and you mentioned that you're a fan of swords, so here's that." And it's a samurai sword. And he does bring up that, they can't really kill anyone, but beat them up. Like, hospitalizing them is as far as you can go. So, Mucho's division will agree, and Mucho's division is known as a special division. Now, Inui, you guys may have noticed that he's not really in division anymore. That's the fact that Black Dragons, they may have mixed it with Tomon, but they also added it on to every other division. And now, Inui, if Black Dragon that didn't want to go into a Tomon unit, will be under Inui. And Takemichi brings up that his friends, like Akun, Takuya, Yamamoto, and Suzuki, they will end up being part of that unit. And Takemichi brings up that Black Dragons are also going to be led by him. Like, the 4 people that can, or 5 people that have actually full control over them would be Chifuyu, Inui, him, Mikey, and Draken. So they all agree to that. And yeah. Now, next thing that would happen. So, Pachin, who his face is pretty badly beaten up by Osanai, and I'm just added on to the damage. So Pachin didn't go to juvie. I made it so that he basically had to stay home with basically bandage on his face, so his face is fully healed. It doesn't take a long time, almost a year. And then Baji was stabbed in the leg instead of like. I'm pretty sure Takemichi actually took the stab wound for Baji, but I said that Baji ended up getting stabbed in the leg or something. Pretty sure, like I'm not even 90% sure. So Baji was stabbed in the leg, and that was basically what Baji kind of out of commission for almost a year as well. So yeah. Now, eventually they are notified of Bone 10 being formed as Tomon and Black Dragons had fused, and it kind of was like, so, well, that's a pretty big gang. Is Mikey leading it all? And Payon, who's like kind of revealing this to Pachin, says, no, Takemichi and Chifuyu are in control of the gang as well now. Now to Baji, who's covering it for him, is going to be Chifuyu, who brings up that he is now one of the admins of Tomon. So Baji's like shocked, like, I haven't been out that long, you're already that high up. And Chifuyu brings up Bone Ten was formed due to Takemichi beating up the Black Dragons and fusing with them. Baji chuckles, saying, that strong bastard would do something like that. But now we're going to go somewhere else in the world of delinquents. We're going to go to Tenjiku. So Izuna still had basically formed his gang, and he still has like Hanma and Kisaki. But Kisaki brings up that he had gotten word from someone that Tomon had fused with Black Dragons. And we're very few members of Black Dragons had left. At most it was 15 members. So some of those one or two of those members had read it out to Kisaki because they know who he is. And when they hear that, they are now aware that Tomon has big numbers, almost at 500 total members. So when they hear this, they then think that they need numbers as well. And that's when they're thinking what they should do. That's when Hama kind of just laughs at this thing. You guys really don't know what to do? Kisaki then says, what do you think we should do then, idiot? And Hama then says, why don't we have Tomon's former enemies join us? Kisaki's then they'd have a motive, and they'd get benefit. Because you aren't an idiot. Kisaki, Hama, who chuckles, saying, I'll get the X members of Valhalla. Kisaki then says, I'll try Mobius. And then, yeah. So basically everyone's kind of formed, but to add on to this, so Mobius and Valhalla will then be fused with Tenjiku, or basically be made allies, I guess. But I'm finding people that maybe, see, it's just Mobius and Valhalla that basically fuse with with Tenjiku. And then some members of Dragons that left, they join them as well. And yeah. Now I want to fast forward a few days. After a few days, Tomon's power had been noticed, and some other miscellaneous groups of delinquents agree that Tomon, or Bone Ten, is too strong. So they begin going around asking, is there any gangs that are planning to crush them? They gave word to Tenjiku, and Tenjiku now would gain members from miscellaneous gangs. So we're going to fast forward a bit. Again, another week, and Takemichi and Chifuyu are hanging out. They had separated from Akun, and Yamagishi, Yamamoto, and Suzuki. And while they're walking, they eventually kind of stop for some food. And we're going to go to Akun, Suzuki, Yamagishi, and Yamamoto. They bump into someone, and this guy asks, are you guys part of Bone Ten? Because they're wearing uniforms, and it's not a school uniform. And Suzuki then says, oh yeah, we are. So what? Guy will punch Suzuki in the face, but Akun, who's actually the best at martial arts, so she might find some belts. So Akun, one of the stronger ones, as he would have a orange belt in karate, and then Takuya, he would have he's more of so Akun is, so I'm pretty sure I said Akun is pretty solid at Taekwondo. So Takuya, he'd be pretty good at jujitsu, and he would have a blue belt. So those two team up on Mochi, who actually had punched Suzuki, and they're able to kind of hold him off a bit, but they still get beat up, and eventually Suzuki and Yamagishi come running to Takemichi and Chifuyu. Takemichi then she just says, alright, Chifuyu, do you want to bring them to the hospital, or should I? And then one of us goes get them. Chifuyu says Takemichi's the fastest, and he's the strongest, so you can pick them both up and run to the hospital faster. He'll get the other two. The way to Takemichi's dojo, the members of Tomon, or now Bone Ten, will go in there and train Takemichi. So a lot of them are learning. Alright, where was I? Alright, so So Takemichi would run and get Takuya and to get Yamagishi and Suzuki to the hospital, and I forgot to go over not go over this. I didn't forget. I'm going over it now. Mitsuya would kind of be surrounded by Tenjiku members, and he would see Osanai among them, and he would see the Itani brothers, Ron and I forgot the other one's name. I have to pause again. I'm sorry. So, Ron and Rindo Itani. From behind, Rindo would try to smash. There's like Mitsuya in the head with the brick. But Mitsuya, like I said, lots of members come on him training martial arts. Takemichi, Mitsuya being one of the main ones, because so far he knows very little about martial arts, but he is really strong and fast. That's really it. So, he had to have senses a little bit. He's a little bit better, kind of enhanced, I guess. So when Rindo was going to smash him over the head with the brick, Mitsuya would kind of like swing his kick back, like swing his foot back as a kick, or as like a fake kick, and Rindo would try to dodge, but Mitsuya would kind of like put his arm over, not his arm, he put his leg over Rindo's, and so he's like kind of like sounds like shut, and then use other leg kind of just jumps and kicks Rindo in the face, sending Rindo basically in the full 360. Ron would rush at Mitsuya. Mitsuya would grab the brick, being faster than Ron, hit him in the face with the brick. Well, Osanai, seeing that opening now, would punch Mitsuya in the face, and Mitsuya sliding. Ron rubs his head as like the brick shattered on his head, but he was hit in the cheek with it mainly, not like right over the head. So it hurt, but he can still keep fighting. It picks up Rindo, who rubbed his face, and Osanai was able to kind of stun Mitsuya, and other members like started gang up on him, but it's not really working too well. But eventually, Mitsuya's able to fight them all off, except for Osanai, Rindo, and Ron. And as they fight to a standstill. So yeah, so like Mitsuya kind of like something against the wall, but kind of like hobbles away, holding onto a wall. And he just hides. While Osanai is unconscious, yes, Ron and Rindo are too tired to even move. So yeah, now I'm going to go to Chifuyu versus like I guess Mochi, and just to add on to with Mochi, there's going to be Chojo, Shonbo, and Choji. Those are the 3 guys that held Mikey down, and Kazutora tried to hit him in the face with a pipe. So Chifuyu arrives as he helps Akun, Takuya, and it's just those 2, like Akun and Takuya. They're being beaten up by Mochi, but Chifuyu would end up using a very strong axe kick to Mochi's head, and Mochi has his head slammed into the ground. He's back up holding his head, and would then begin fighting Chifuyu. I mean, Chifuyu aren't equals, but Chifuyu's faster and is able to get in a lot more lucky strikes. But eventually, Chombo is able to grab Mitsuya. Is able to grab Chifuyu's leg, and Chombo and Choji begin punching Mitsuya, punching Chifuyu in the face, and then Mochi begins like kneeing him in the gut. Eventually, Chifuyu's able to kick them all away. Right, we'll kick one of them away, then the rest of them. He's able to kick the one holding him down away. He's able to escape, but he picks up Akun and Takuya and runs out of the subway. He gets up there. He's surrounded by more Tenjiku members and is fighting them off. Eventually, he's about to be hit in the face by Mochi as he's caught off guard. Suddenly, angry had jumped off of his motorcycle and basically RKOs him. Like he RKOs Mochi. As Mochi lands, and Chifuyu would chuckle, as he doesn't know that they've been studying martial arts, but not for that long, only like a week. But they mainly studied wrestling and judo. And by studying wrestling, they also started watching a lot of wrestling on TV. So they're kind of like copying moves that they see on TV. So the RKO, let's say that some other wrestler could do that move. And Smiley starts pushing out suplexes, despite being pretty small. And eventually they're able to clear away from them. But eventually they're caught off guard as Angry's hit in the head with a pipe, which makes Smiley actually pissed off and starts beating up Chombo. But Choji and Chojo hold him down, and Mochi would stomp on Smiley's face, knocking him out, and he kicks Angry in the face, knocking him out. And he's about to jump on Chifuyu to crush him, but as he's about to, suddenly something strong would hit him right in the ribs and make him cough up blood. That something being Takemichi's foot. Takemichi sends Mochi flying, and Mochi gets back up like, what the hell? But Takemichi's knee would be the only thing he sees as he's hit right in the face and knocks him out. Takemichi then runs, picking up Smiley, Angry, picking up Smiley, Angry, Chifuyu, Takuya, and Akun. Akun's a little bit awake, saying, Put me on one of the motorcycles so that it doesn't get stolen. He does, and Akun rides off, as Takemichi, still holding on to another 3 people, drives off. They're able to hide somewhere, and he puts them all down. It's like, you guys alright? Angry holds his head, saying, Argh. He hit me with a pipe and stung a lot. And then he says, he jumped on me. Or not jumped, he stomped on me. She says, he hit me in the face a lot. She says, alright, well, Angry, I was able to see you do the RKO. It wasn't too bad, actually. But, I'm gonna go over some. Okay, so Takemichi is hiding with Akun, Takuya, and Chifuyu, Smiley and Angry. When Angry and Smiley suggest they go to a nearby hideout of Tenjiku to fight them. As they suggest this, suddenly in front of Takemichi, Smiley and Angry, and Takuya and Akun, and Shuyu would step out multiple Tenjiku soldiers and Kisaki. Takemichi will stare at Kisaki, as Kisaki then just says, so the hero was here. And Kisaki then vows to defeat Takemichi, as the rest of Tenjiku would leave. Takemichi then actually agrees to go on the raid with Smiley and Angry, as he does tell Chifuyu to stay here with those two, as they're still pretty beaten up. Chifuyu agrees, as Takemichi will get on the motorcycle with Smiley and Angry. He gets on Smiley's motorcycle. Angry and him they get along, but Angry scares him. But eventually they get to the hideouts, and they would see Kakucho and other Tenjiku members. Takemichi instantly recognizes Kaku and says, Kaku, you're here. Interesting. Then Kaku says, Takemichi. And that's when Takemichi then says, alright, Smiley, Angry, let's handle this. He then jumps towards Kaku, as multiple people of Tenjiku jump in front of Takemichi trying to stop him. But it doesn't work, as Takemichi and Kaku begin fighting. Takemichi realizes that Kaku, he has a good technique, but his fighting style is more similar to a boxer. So Takemichi, to kind of mess with Kaku, basically using boxing, and it's very easy for Takemichi because he's picking apart fighting style really easy. But eventually, Kaku basically beats crap and something against a wall, as his nose and his mouth are bleeding pretty badly. While Smiley and Angry take down multiple members of Tenjiku by themselves. But eventually, as Takemichi's about to leave, Kaku asks Takemichi to save Izuna. And Takemichi then actually asks, what does he mean by that? And this is when Kaku then says, you'll find out on your own. Takemichi's a little hesitant, but says, alright then. Kind of just sighs. And I may mess up the order of things here, but I'll check. Actually, I won't check. I'll try to remember it. Alright. Takemichi would end up going to Hina's house to talk to her, and when he does end up leaving, he shook hands with Naoto, and when he shook hands with Naoto, he would end up going back to the future. He goes to the future. He is with Naoto, and him and Naoto begin talking. Now, and Takemichi had theorized that Kisaki and timely, but he didn't bring it up to Chifuyu because it would probably worry him. But Naoto suggests that they should kill Kisaki. And Takemichi does disagree, saying, Kisaki is pretty young, we would need to kill him. So, once Naoto hears yeah, that's fair enough. But also, I don't want to ask basically a kid to kill. Eventually, Takemichi and Naoto still talk, and they conclude that once Tenjiku and Tomon clash, Takemichi would have to find some way to basically permanently put Kisaki out of commission and from basically being a delinquent in some way. Takemichi suggests something very bad. He reveals that most likely he is going to do something that would hospitalize Kisaki for a very long time. He doesn't tell Naoto what he's going to do, but Naoto knows Takemichi's probably going to go a little too far if he does do it, but he trusts him not to. They shake hands, and they go back. Well, not they. Takemichi goes back to the past. Takemichi would be walking away when he would end up seeing a car. And he's with Chifuyu, Akun, So he's with all his friends plus Chifuyu. When you see the car, outside the car would be Sanzu holding the sword, and he didn't ask Sanzu what was going on. And Chifuyu says, he has a bad feeling, and suddenly all of them are grabbed from behind except for Takemichi. Mucho would step out of the car, Takemichi would ask Mucho what's going on, and so Mucho would then say something. Now get in the car. So Takemichi then says, before we get in the car, you're going to make me. Mucho goes to punch Takemichi, even though Mucho probably knows, like, he's sweating as he goes for the punch. But Takemichi would catch the punch as he then headbutts Mucho. Sanzu would jump, trying to slash Takemichi. Takemichi would be able to dodge as these two are both kind of trying to gang up on him. And Mucho, pretty sure, can use Judo, so Mucho can use a few strikes against Takemichi, and Takemichi then starts using Judo against Mucho. But eventually, Sanzu would try to stab Takemichi at least in the leg, but Takemichi would end up jumping away. And there's a very large slash wound on his side now. Takemichi would decide, but he would basically pump Sanzu in the spine as hard as he can. It doesn't break it, but Sanzu falls over as he holds his back, not really being able to move for a good few minutes. But Mucho taking advantage of Takemichi basically being hurt now, would punch him in the slash wound, and then Takemichi would then feel Mucho pick him up and slam him on the hood of the car. That knocks him out. Now he's tied up and put in the car, or chained up actually. He's put in the car. Takemichi would wake up. He wakes up briefly in the drive as Mucho then says, "Hey Sanzu, alright?" Sanzu says, "Yeah, I'm okay." And as Mucho says, "He's not giving me these damn tasks." Tasks. But yeah. So Takemichi then falls asleep, passes out again, as he wakes up at a warehouse. Now he's basically kind of chained to the ceiling. His arms are chained to the ceiling. He's high up off Takemichi's pretty tall. He had a growth spurt in the middle of this whole thing. So he went from Draken's height to Taiju's height, so 6'3". So he's basically chained to the ceiling, and his hands are they're taped together, plus they're chained up. And his feet are chained together as well, chained and taped. And he sees Koko and Inupi. I've been messing up his name. I thought it was Inui, but it's Inupi because some sites would say it's Inui, and yeah, but Inupi and Koko are basically tied to chairs behind him. And he asks, what's going on? And Koko suspects that because they're too loyal, they're very loyal to Takemichi for being black dragons, and he thinks that they might have a plan or be plotting against them. And that Takemichi's now a leader, that it might actually end up resulting in Takemichi being a probable suspect and taking down Tomon. Takemichi assures Mucho he would not do that. But Mucho begins beating at Takemichi by punching him in the gut as he's hung. And he had wrapped up the wound of Takemichi so he didn't bleed out, but he really punched Takemichi in that wound as Takemichi begins coughing up blood. And Mucho reveals that he's the founder of Tenjiku, and who would give an ultimatum to Koko that either you join us or I kill Takemichi and Inupi. Now Takemichi tries to break out with the tape, but his hands are chained together and the tape, it's hard to do it. But once he sees this, Sanzu, by the way, he's okay now, but he would pick up a 2x4 and hit Takemichi in the wound. And slash wound that Takemichi coughs up a lot more blood, and Sanzu does it till the boy breaks. And Takemichi has blood pouring in his mouth, and gets in Koko and says, "Alright, I'll join. Just leave him alone." Now Sanzu and Mucho leave with Koko and the rest of the 5th Division, or Special Division. Once they leave, Inupi got free and was able to basically unchain Takemichi. And when Takemichi comes down, he leans against the wall, holding his side, saying, "Damn it!" And eventually, Inupi and him were able to get to Shinichiro's bike shop. And Takemichi is aware of Shinichiro being the founder of Black Dragons, like I said before. So, as him and Inupi talk about Shinichiro, Takemichi vows to carry on Shinichiro's will, the Black Dragons, but fuse it with the will of Tomon. I don't know what's showing with the name, but yeah. Eventually, he would go to see Hina again and shake hands with Naoto as he would go to the future, because Izuna. Now, when she shakes hands with Naoto, again, him and Naoto would talk for a bit about Izuna, and Takemichi looking to be in the future for an extended amount of time because Naoto would have to do something for a bit, and Takemichi would end up basically wandering around and for a bit, and he would go to a church that's very familiar to him. It was very familiar to him because it was like Hakai took him to the church once, and while he's there, something didn't occur to him, or like something's like he didn't know something. But while he was at the church, he was praying, and then says, "Damn it, how am I going to deal with Izuna?" And a man next to him says, "Do you mind quieting down?" Takemichi would apologize, but then the man's voice sounded familiar, but he didn't focus on it. Eventually, the man would sigh, saying, "I wonder if Akai is weakling in heaven. I wonder if Akai is weakling in heaven too." Takemichi recognized the voice immediately. Plus, he said, "Akai." His eyes kind of just go over to the Taiju, saying, "Taiju?" And Taiju then says, "Yep." Takemichi would actually just bring him out to the car because Naoto had arrived, and they talk about Tomon and how basically every family member is dead. But Taiju reveals that he's basically one of the only members from Tomon currently that is alive, or Bonten that's alive. Like Pachin, and he died at his wedding because like the night of the wedding, Pachin was killed in the dressing room. Then Payon was killed for discovering it, and Taiju basically again leads up to Mikey doing it all. The Taiju's one of the members, besides Takemichi, that's alive from Tomon. Takemichi then says, yeah, fair enough. If me and Mikey were to fight, the fight would go on for hours, and I'd probably be the winner, because I'm more durable. And that's when Takemichi realizes something as he lifts up his shirt and jacket, saying, "Damn it!" As they all notice a gigantic and very jagged scar on his side. That's from Sanzu trying to stab him, but that's what happened. That's when Takemichi says, "Damn it, Sanzu." That's when Taiju says, "From the special division? Or former 5th division?" And this when Takemichi says, "Yeah, those bastards are traitors." And suddenly the door would burst open, as Takemichi would look to his right, seeing Inupi, Koko, and multiple members of Bonten. Or, the name went back to Tomon. Actually, the name is now not Tokyo. It's now Kanto Manji Gang. Takemichi looks at them saying, what do you two want?" And eventually Koko then says, he had followed Naoto and planned to kill Taiju for not ratting out, but for selling information. Well, not selling, for giving information, and then killing Naoto and Takemichi for basically going on the quest to just know about Kanto Manji Gang. As they reveal this, Takemichi would appear right between them both, and he would just say, "Inupi, I'm very disappointed in you." Because Inupi, actually, he knows he's about to get the hell punch out of him, as he then says, "I'm so sorry." As Takemichi would backhand into Inupi so hard, he gets knocked out, and he punched Koko right in the manly area. So Koko he falls to his knees, basically foaming at the mouth due to how much it hurt. Takemichi then actually starts running after Naoto, as Naoto's running away. Well, after, because you're running with Naoto, Taiju told them both to run. He'll handle the rest of it, because the two stronger ones are knocked out. As they run, and they're running down an alley, and Takemichi would end up tripping over something as he stumbles in front, he stumbles over like a pipe that's placed there to trip him. And as he's running, suddenly as he trips, Naoto will push him out of the way, as Naoto is shot in the side by Kaku. Takemichi looks at Kaku saying, what the hell happened to you?" Kaku tries to shoot Takemichi again, but he throws the pipe, and the pipe would be one that would get shot. Takemichi will then grab Kaku by the head and slam it into a wall repeatedly until there's blood coming out, and he slams it again one more time as blood would splatter everywhere. And he thinks he killed Kaku, but in reality, Kaku is basically dying as we speak because there's so much blood coming out of his head. But he only saw Kaku, not the other person behind Kaku, which was Izuna. As Izuna would kick Takemichi in the head, and he was going to fall back as he held his forehead that hit the wall. And repeatedly, this would lead to Izuna barraging Takemichi, and was a kick to the face. When Takemichi was to get ready, suddenly he shot in the stomach, and he would fall right next to Naoto. And he shot 2 more times, because Takemichi's really durable. Takemichi coughs up 1 more blood as he's dying faster than Naoto. And Naoto, to basically make sure Takemichi can go back to the past and live, would grab Takemichi's arms. He says, go be a hero. He smiles, and Takemichi would then appear in the past. In the past, he would basically he'd be with Draken. As he's with Draken, him and Draken been talking for a bit, and eventually, Takemichi first goes to Draken that, well, Draken already heard about Sanzu and Mucho, and Coco. But yes, Takemichi, how's his side holding up? Because Akun had told Draken that he was almost stabbed, but he was slashed. Takemichi says, so basically, Akun was the only one that paid attention to the slash wound because his jacket had flown up, and Akun happened to be on that side. So don't bring it up to anyone else. And he texted Akun saying, tell anyone else with the sword wound, and I'm going to kill you. So Akun had to be quiet about it. But Draken says, alright, sure. If I tell anyone else, it'd probably worry Mikey, because he looks up to you as an older brother figure now. Even though Takemichi's the younger one. But eventually Draken would arrive as Emma would open the door, happy, and she sees Takemichi, who she's also happy to see. Just a small crush on him for a bit, but yeah. Now, eventually, they go inside as they do go to Mikey's room and they talk for a bit. Emma still brings up Izuna as her brother, and everything kind of goes the same up until the time of Kisaki about to kill Emma. So Takemichi is walking away from the meeting with the Black Dragons, not Black Dragons, with Bone Ten, and Bone Ten is just Toman Black Dragons, but as he walks away from the meeting, suddenly, they're kind of in a big area that's kind of open, but it's a shortcut. But suddenly motorcycles would start driving around them, and Takemichi would cover Emma. And he would see one of the motorcycles come at him, and the driver being Hanma, the person behind him being Saki. Now, Saki, she fakes out Takemichi by making him think the person going for is Emma, as he put his arm for Emma. But Saki would fake out and hit Takemichi over the head with a metal bat. They're not using a wooden one, because that'd break on impact, but a metal one would probably dent on impact, but it'd do a lot more damage. The metal bat would hit Takemichi in the head, blood would come out, Takemichi says, "Damn it!" And Sanzu had read it out that he had slashed Takemichi and pretty badly, and Mucho basically wailed on the wound until he coughed an ungodly amount of blood. Eventually, other members of other members of Tenjiku would have pipes or sticks, hitting Takemichi in the wound as they drive, because he's the biggest threat to them. Not Mikey, not Draken, him. Eventually, Emma about to be hit, but Takemichi then jumps on top of her as they basically start driving, hitting Takemichi. Mikey was curious about the revving, and when they heard they kind of heard running, because Mikey is a little worried, but they all drove off. But eventually, Mikey's not there yet, but Emma would get Takemichi off of her, saying he's unconscious, and would blur everyone else close, just Draken and Mikey. But what makes him come to them faster is Emma letting out a blood-curdling scream of Takemichi. And when Mikey arrives, Takemichi's basically covered in blood from head to toe, and his basically his body looks like from Goku's. It was I remember him in the movie, kind of smiling but bleeding. Because Takemichi was sure he was going to die there, but he's happy to be expecting Emma, like Mikey asked. Now they all pick up Takemichi, what Draken mainly does, because he's only big enough to carry him. But Mikey kind of picks up his feet as they all start running to the hospital as fast as they can. And Mikey was going to text as much members of Toman as he can, saying, "Meet at this hospital." But then he would grab Takemichi's phone, sending a text to Hina saying, "Hey, this is Mikey. Takemichi was in a really bad accident. Come to the hospital." And so when Takemichi was at the hospital, they would end up even Baji and Pachin came because this is big news. So when they get there, they're all in Takemichi's hospital room, saying that he's being patched up, and Takemichi kind of wakes up, shocking the nurses and the doctors. They thought he'd be in a coma, but when he wakes up, he goes, "What the hell happened?" And the nurse reveals that Takemichi is pretty badly injured right now. There's a lot of broken bones. But Takemichi says, "Whatever. Just give me some pills or something, and I'll go home." But they can't really do that. Now, as they go outside, Emma explains what happened and how they recently caught Takemichi off guard. And once they did that, that led enough time for them to repeatedly hit Takemichi. And Draken reluctantly Hino's listening in because he wanted to hear what happened. And I forgot to go over something. And Takemichi came back to the past from Naruto and him being shot. He was at the park and started crying. Hina still hears about Takemichi time traveling. But yeah. So when Hina overhears the conversation with Draken and them, Hina comes out and actually says, she has to ask Emma to go inside. She has something to say to Mikey and Draken. Emma would agree. She goes inside, and Emma says, "He's doing all this for our sake." Because Takemichi just said, like, when he's at the park and I'm just crying about Naoto, he would just say that, you know, well, he's trying so hard to make sure that everyone in Bonten can live a happy life, and that Mikey doesn't go berserk, Draken doesn't get tricked. He wants everyone to live a good life. Emma reveals that what Takemichi has said, and Takemichi told Hina about everything that he's done. And Mikey is shocked that Takemichi's whole thing so far, like, Takemichi's main goal right now is to make sure that Mikey is stable. And when Mikey is at Takemichi's whole goal is just basically keep Mikey safe, Mikey begins crying because he feels bad for what he does in the future, because kind of what Mikey did in the future is what happened is affecting him, what's happening right now. Mikey feels like he's breaking down and crying, and Draken feels bad that Takemichi's doing all this for them. But Emma reveals that he saved Pachin, and he did save Baji and Kazutora. Now, Mikey is actually having the worst of it, because, one, he was told he killed all of his friends. Well, Mikey's like having the worst right now, and everyone in the hospital would hear Mikey basically just screaming and crying outside. But now come back, Mikey had a lot of the tears, saying, "Alright, Tenjiku did the worst thing they could possibly do. So let's give them hell." And eventually, we're gonna fast forward around a week, because like they had to postpone the whole battle because they had to get ready for it. And they all basically practicing as hard as they can. Now, let's pause real quick. So after a week of basically Tomon preparing for battle, or Bonten, they're actually like revved up to fight, because they had heard what they did to Takemichi. Some Bonten members, they took that as they are so strong that they had to gang up on one person. And in total, like Tenjiku, so Izuna was looking forward to fighting Takemichi, but he was happy that the battle would end a lot faster because it'd be easier. But they started to gather a lot more opponents, because Tomon's huge. It's a big gang, because people are starting to join left and right because they support them more than Tenjiku. So eventually Tomon's numbers would rise to a good 600. Tenjiku, having to get a lot more support, to being more gruesome, their number would rise to 800. Now, it's in total around 2 weeks, and a lot of them forget that Takemichi heals insanely fast. So eventually, once the battle with Tenjiku would start, as they march there, as Mikey has pent up a lot of pent up rage. But the moment they're at the battlefield, Izuna's in front, and she's that Mikey, his eyes are basically empty, but everyone can tell that Mikey's pissed. But Madarame is as the forerunner for a fight, and Paon steps up hey, this can be really easy, I'll do it for you. Well, the hospital Takemichi, basically every bone had healed, except for one, or it's not one. You know Aizawa, when his head was kind of been by the Nomu? You remember that? And how certain part has a scar under his eye now? I mean, that part of his face is actually pretty badly beaten up, and that part under his eye is pretty badly. Let me find the name of it. Basically, what happened a part under Aizawa's eye, a lot of the bone was actually crushed. So that's the thing. Same thing happened to Takemichi, because he was repeatedly hit in the face with pipes, sticks, boards, even the rest of his body. But his body's pretty healed now. So as Pachin, not Pachin, as Paon was hey, this is gonna be pretty easy. Takemichi was doing little thing, not Paon. Paon was thinking that way, his Madarame. So first, before this, Takemichi had went to a certain few people's house, as they're mostly healed. You guys can get where I'm going with this, you get it? Now, as I say this, Paon's about to step forward and go for a punch, but rushing forward would be a raging Pachin saying, "Paon, you're too slow." You punch Madarame, sending him flying into hordes of other members of Tenjiku. Everyone sees Pachin wait, what the hell are you doing here? And Mitsuya, by the way, he healed up a bit, but he's still kind of beaten up, so he's weakened, but so is so Smiley, because he got ganged up on too. But they see Pachin, and they see he's basically fine, but his face is his jaws look a little crooked, that's really it. Mikey kind of gained some of that light in his eyes back, seeing his friend, and someone actually rushed at Mikey, who caught him off guard. But Baji would jump in, he's one of his, he's basically one leg, and he would kick all of them away. So his other leg is fine, but not fine, but it's kind of hard to walk on. And then Baji then says, "Hey, Like, don't let anyone catch you off guard again. And Mikey says, Baji, you're fine. And a lot more members of Tenjiku jump towards Bonten, and like Mikey would notice that the jackets are like Pachin and Pei, not Pachin. Yeah, Pachin and Baji have the jackets. So, yeah. Now, against Mochi. Mochi would have punched Ifugi in the face basically beating him up, but Taiju, who's like kind of walking towards Mochi and grabbed his fist as he didn't throw a punch. So Mochi's like, what? You pissed yourself already? Did you enter a strong opponent? You can defend a strong opponent? That's when Taiju says, nope, my captain's just pissed. Suddenly, from above, Takemichi then says, back the hell away from Shifuyu. As Takemichi would land on Mochi's head and repeatedly punching it until Mochi was unconscious. Everyone was actually see Takemichi's there, but he kind of has an eye patch on, or bandage on his eye. And that's when Mikey actually, Mikey has all of his motion back. That's when Mikey says, Takemichi! As, like in the Luffy's not ex-Zoro, but, like, if you remember Luffy and Zoro being at Wano, Mikey just jumps on Takemichi's head and just hugs him the whole time. And everyone concerns Takemichi, like, how are you okay? Takemichi pulls Mikey off his face, and holding it like a baby, and Mikey, is kicking and grabbing at Takemichi to hug him again. But Takemichi then says, I'm fine. It's just hard to see out of one eye. But he puts Mikey down as Mikey just hugs him again. And Takemichi says, Draken, please hold him, he's crushing me. Draken picks up Mikey, saying, Alright, you're gonna go punch people in the face to cool down. Well, Takemichi, let's do our thing. They leave him punching their way through members of Tenjiku, all the way until all that's left are the Heavenly Kings. But we're gonna go through some fights we see in the middle of it. So, there are the Haitani brothers. They actually still gang up on Angry and Akai, and eventually, when the brothers is hitting Akai in the face repeatedly until he's bleeding. Well, not bleeding because there's marks on his face now from that thing they use. As brother would raise his hand up again to slap the nightstick down Hakai's face. You feel their arm being grabbed. They're a little nervous until they look up, seeing not nervous, a little annoyed. They look up, seeing a very pissed off Taiju. And Taiju then grabbed the brother face, holding him up, saying as he says, Akai, are you alright? Akai would nod, as Akai would notice Taiju's a lot more careful with him and Yuzuha. Well, for one, if he touches them the wrong way, if he even pokes them in the wrong way, Takemichi will come and tear his finger off. So, when he picked up a brother, he would repeatedly slam their head on the ground until blood was pouring everywhere. Well, angry, he had already entered the Blue Ogre, as Akai was he's still nervous for Akai. But he starts beating the other tiny brother like they're nothing, and more people from Tenjiku rush at Angry, or now the Blue Ogre. Once he's done, he's still kind of raging, but he would just feel his arm come around him as he would look, saying Smiley, as Smiley then says, Now what the hell are you doing? Calm down. Angry would stop crying, saying, but they hurt Akai. And that's when Smiley would point to Taiju, holding up the very bloody tiny brother, as Smiley then says, Akai has a brother. Akai has an older brother to guard, just watch his back. As Smiley with a wink at Angry, and Angry smiles. Now Takemichi. Now facing off against all of them, basically all that's left right now would be Uchi Hanma, Kisaki, Kaku, and Izuna. Now facing them, you will kind of just see Takemichi, Draken, and Mikey. And Takemichi is he's not wearing a giant jacket, just wearing like a gi. And he would start yes, Draken, do you want to handle don't handle Kaku, or do you want to handle Hanma? And Draken looks at Hanma, saying, me and you have something to settle. Takemichi looks at Saki, saying, well, you. As when Takemichi was hit in the head by the bat the first time, the bat mainly hit him in the eye, and not the head, his eye. That's what crushed his eye. So, where's the bone? He looks at Saki as he takes off his bandages on his eye, as they see blood coming out of his eye, because his eyes are twitching. And Takemichi points out that he is going to be basically almost going to be blind in this eye permanently, like almost blind in his eye forever. Now Kisaki then says, "It's your fault for interfering with Tenji." Before you can finish the sentence, Takemichi had appeared in front of Kisaki, grabbed him by the head, and slammed his head on the ground. Well, Kaku was like that was fast. Takemichi looked at Kaku as it's basically him like for you from the boxer again. Takemichi's fist would be so fast that Kaku didn't see it, and it was like Kaku feels like the part of his body was punched away. But in reality, Kaku just punched into 360 and knocked him out. Well, Izuna was like, "Mikey and Draken are monsters in their own right, but that right there, it's not a monster or a beast, it's a demon." Well, Takemichi would really start punching Kisaki in the face until blood's like splashing everywhere. And Draken had already beaten Hanma, and Hanma is like trying to get to Kisaki. And Draken's like, hey, like Kisaki's pretty weak, so we're trying to have him help you. But Draken looks to what's happening to Kisaki, and he would jump on Takemichi, saying, "All right, you need to chill." Takemichi crushed Kisaki's glasses, and blood all in his hand now, or glasses all in his hand now, blood's everywhere. Kisaki can barely even breathe. But Hanma would pick up Kisaki as he yells to Izuna, "They can't do this." They begin running off as Kisaki is coughing up blood, and Takemichi as he picks up Draken, almost throws him, but he's realized that what he's doing. He puts Draken down as he looks at Izuna versus Mikey. Now, Mikey's still pretty pissed off, but he's happy too. So he's fighting basically for his friend and the future, but mainly for just what they did to Takemichi's body. But now a special guest had appeared. Behind, Takemichi would then see Mucho and Sanzu. Sanzu would go to slash Takemichi again. Sanzu would grab the blade, saying, "Alright, you. Me and you have something to settle." So Takemichi would take off his gi as they now see the giant bandage on his side as he would take it off, and they see his stitched up side. Now, Takemichi would then pull the blade away from Sanzu as Takemichi then puts the blade in his own hand, and Sanju start running away, and I don't want to see what's gonna happen. But Takemichi would appear in front of Sanzu, as on the side, Sanzu then has a gigantic slash. Now Sanju coughs up blood, and Takemichi then says, "Now we're even." He drops the blade and looks at Mucho, saying, "You." Mucho already knows what's gonna happen as he walks towards Takemichi. He kind of just holding his head up, saying, "Just go ahead." And Takemichi starts punching Mucho in the face until Mucho's unconscious. But now, Takemichi is interested in something else. Inupi and Coco. Coco is not having... Inupi is pissed. Inupi is wailing in Coco's face like there's no tomorrow. Eventually, Coco would just realize that Inupi had stopped, and Inupi then says, "Alright, after this, you're coming back to Bonten. Understood?" And Coco then said, weakly would say, "Yes, sir." As Inupi would put Coco down, and he looks at Takemichi, who's covered in blood, and Takemichi just smiles. Now, eventually, Hanma and Draken stop running, not Hanma and Draken, Hanma and Kisaki stop running, or Hanma stopped running. Kisaki had watched as basically Izuna and Kaku are beaten. So Kaku tried to interfere with the fight with Takemichi and Izuna, and not Takemichi and Izuna, with Mikey and Izuna, and Mikey pulled the old roundhouse on Kaku, knocking him out cold. So yeah, now Takemichi was basically watching the fight with Izuna and Mikey, and Izuna is beaten. Now, Kisaki would pull out a gun, first person to do it is Izuna trying to kill Mikey, but Izuna is then shot twice in the side, and at the time Kaku actually tries to step in from the bullet being shot, and he does get shot right in the hip, I guess. But then the bullet went through him, still hitting Izuna. Now Kaku and Izuna are still bleeding out, but Izuna would die. Now Mikey feels bad, but before Izuna dies, Takemichi, Mikey then says, "If you were to approach me normally, not as an enemy, as a person, I think we could have gotten along really well." And Izuna's last words were, "Me too." Izuna then dies, as Takemichi then like bolts towards Kisaki, Kisaki will fire, like just keep firing at Takemichi, but every bullet misses as Takemichi is basically running at not lightning speed, so just fast. Hama picks him up and he like get on a motorcycle and just running, not running but driving, and eventually the motorcycle kind of like hits something and like flips, and Kisaki then realizes that Takemichi's still running towards them. Takemichi just jumps right over Hanma as Kisaki kind of steps back into the street and says, "What a way to die." Suddenly, a car would hit Kisaki, and he is dead. Takemichi then sighs, saying, "I was hoping he didn't die." Looks at Hama, who's running at him, because Hama didn't see what happened to Kisaki. And then when Hama ends up running towards Takemichi, Takemichi steps out of the way as he points to Kisaki's corpse. Hama is shocked as he says, "What happened?" Takemichi then says, "You're an idiot." He then kicks Hama in the side of the head, knocking him out, and he walks back towards the battlefield. As what happened, as Takemichi reveals that Kisaki is dead, and then Takemichi then yells, Bone 10 is the victor. Bone 10 begins cheering, and Takemichi puts a bandage back on his eye, as it was bleeding a lot. As it was bleeding a lot, and they return. They return to their homes. Takemichi, he had returned to he went to like Mikey and Emma's house with basically all division commanders except for Taiju had gone, because Taiju isn't really, he's friends with no one in Toman. He's friends with no one in Bone 10 except for Inupi, Koko, and Takemichi, and Hokai. Mitsu and him are on med terms, but he's not the best fan of Mikey. So all division commanders except for Taiju, who go to the Sano household. And then Hina will join them. And Chifuyu. As they're there, they ask, Moeki asks Baji, is your leg fully healed? But Baji says, no, it's not fully healed, but we're doing good. And Emma is actually happy to see that Takemichi's okay. But he's still shirtless, and they notice, all the scars on his body now. He gets a slash mark from being, stitches from being slashed. Then you see a few big bruises from being hit. And if he just basically breaks in the skin. Then he lifts up his bandage saying, and I have this, but this is about to happen. Now pause real quick. Alright, so after basically the whole thing, they end up after the captains hang out at Manjiro's house. Eventually, Takemichi kind of feels bad about Kisaki's body, basically using his body having to be recovered by someone else. And eventually he would find Kaku. Kaku would ask Takemichi what he wants, as Takemichi reveals that he wants to plan a big funeral for Izuna and Kisaki. Kaku is shocked that Takemichi wants to do that, but Takemichi says, they may have sucked as people, but they deserve good rest. But Takemichi brings up with the rest of Bone 10, and they all agree to attend. Senjiku attends because it's their leader, and Takemichi and Mikey eventually, a few days later, they all have a giant meeting with Takemichi brought this up to the captains first, because when they're hanging out at Manjiro's house, Emma's house, Takemichi reveals that they should disband Bone 10 because they did everything they needed to, and nothing else should happen. They established their spot as the strongest gang in Japan and probably the strongest one to exist. Mikey agrees with this. And eventually, this meeting, all the captains are sitting. Well, Taiju was consulted over text by Okai. The vice captains also got the news. But they announced the rest of Bone 10. Bone 10, we succeeded, we did our thing. A lot of them are very upset by this, but Takemichi just feels, you all can go back to your thing. None of you shall reform like dragons. None of you shall reform Toman. If you do, vice captains and captains will come back and disband the gang themselves. All of them agree, and Takemichi will end up going, they'll just leave. Now, we're going to go to 2006, as I'm pretty sure it's around 2005. Takemichi, his eye, I think Zoro kind of just keeps it shut, but usually he kind of has, you guys remember, Warwick from Gangsta? He has a bandage, or kind of a bandage over that eye. Or legit, it'll also keep it closed. Then when we are riding bikes, Takemichi kind of jumps in the river to celebrate that they did their thing. And the time she realizes he might just head back to the present. because he doesn't want to go through life again. So eventually, Takemichi does go to see Hina because he wants to give her a gift on a certain day. And about the funeral, it kind of just went normally. Yeah. But Tenjiku also disbanded. Now, as Takemichi and Hina get their gifts, Takemichi is like, well, he doesn't give Hina a gift, but they have the clover and necklaces. But Takemichi reveals that Hina should get married in 12 years' time. Hina agrees, and Takemichi and Naoto shake hands after telling Naoto and Hina's parents that they're gonna get married in 12 years' time, because that'd be a good area, because they'd be almost 30, they'd have a good life. And Hina's father, he didn't try to have them break up, because Takemichi, one, he's 15, well, he's 15 now, and he already runs his own business. They've been doing for around a year or two. Takemichi actually very successful, like really good. And yeah, now he has like a whole list like no delinquents. Some delinquents didn't take it seriously, which resulted in them being hospitalized. But yeah. Now, eventually, once all the captain, he didn't plan a wedding thing, so them being at 15, and all vice captains, Taiji actually attends this one because he decides he should be him. Mucho is allowed to attend because anyone that we left behind and probably be sent to juvie that mattered was carried away. So yeah, Mucho attends with Sanzu. Sanzu's kind of like on crutches because Takemichi slashed a little more deep and ended up hurting something that kind of made him walk a little funny. Kaku's there. Kaku's there because Takemichi and him are friends again. But Haku was shot in the hip, which kind of gives him not a permanent limp, but a limp for a long time. So Takemichi just has Kaku on his back. But they get the time capsule, and Kaku puts something in there that would basically remember Izuna. Now, Takemichi returns to the future, and when he returns, he realizes that he's in a suit. Now, the suit is pretty good. Now, Hina then lets Takemichi kind of froze in the middle of him walking, and when she realizes that he froze, she jumps on him and hugs him, saying, "Welcome back." Takemichi smiles, saying, "Thanks." But he says, "Give me 1 second." Hina lets go as he runs in the bathroom, and he locks the door. He takes all his clothes off, looking at himself in the mirror, saying, "Jeez, I have a lot of scars." He looks at his face, realizing his eye, just because everyone can be like Zoro. It's like Takemichi kind of got in a bar fight, and someone hit him with a bottle, and that ended up kind of cutting his eye. But he says, what happened here? And whatever, I look cool. And then Takemichi realizes he grew his hair out a little longer than Keizo, and he kind of wears down. So, he put his hair back, and kind of messed it up to look like Keizo, and he would walk out, realizing stubble's also growing out like Keizo's. He walks out, Takemichi got his clothes on, and when they get to the table, Takemichi would kind of start talking to everyone as Draken and Chifuyu kind of thanking for what he did. Now, where she can go to when Takemichi was 19 and everyone else was doing their thing. Inupi and Draken started their own bike shop. The twins have a ramen shop. Pachin has his parents' business. Peion is his advisor. Mitsuya, he had gotten a lot more experience with making the Bone 10 uniforms and basically having to redo a lot of the Toman uniforms because they had been messed up. So he has a lot more experience with making clothes and actually a really good designer. And then Hakai is a model still. But Takemichi, he's a martial arts instructor, and with how good he is, he's also challenged by other dojos to you're teaching, and they do it for money. And Takemichi also does underground fights occasionally, which he wins in basically 1 or 2 punches. But he has a lot of money, and he donated to each and every one of his friends' business to have them twins had a small ramen shop. Once they got money from Takemichi, they're able to open basically not like a whole McDonald's franchise, but they're able to open up a one to 4 ramen shops, and they're pretty big buildings. Draken's bike shop is a lot more popular. Here, Hakai has a lot more fans with modeling. Mitsuya has a lot more fans with his clothing, and because he makes a lot of the gis that Takemichi wears. And it just happens that the logo on the back happens to be a dragon, but there is behind it is a sunrise to represent Bone 10. As at the table, Takemichi kind of whispers to Draken, "Where's my key?" And when this one Draken says, "Me and you can talk after this." Takemichi already knows something bad probably happened, so he just sighs, but yeah. Also, Chifuyu's pet shop, he didn't really want any money from Takemichi because him and Kazutora can manage it pretty well. Also, by the way, Takemichi, he doesn't live he lives with Hina, but because him and Chifuyu were really close. And yeah, so Takemichi and him, his dojo is a lot bigger, by the way. So him and Hina, they live in the dojo, but downstairs they have like a whole, like, not a loft, but they have like, I guess, a fold out for Chifuyu to sleep on. That's where he sleeps. I think Kazutora ended up moving in with them. So yeah. Now, back to this. After Pachin's wedding, Takemichi asked Pachin, is your jaw still messed up? Because he pure recounts like the fight with Tenjiku, and Takemichi and Pachin, they're cool, but they don't interact the whole time face to face, more like just texting. But after Pachin reveals, yeah, he's cool, just has like a slight speech, like his speech is a little messed up. And Baji wasn't there. Takemichi asked why Baji wasn't there, but that's when Pachin reveals that he's finishing up physical therapy for his leg. Yeah, because they said like once he was good with it, someone tried to fight him, and then he broke it again, and this is a lot more serious. So yeah, so Takemichi would go pick up Baji, bring him to like congratulate Pachin, and yeah. Now, at the bike shop, Draken and Takemichi will talk about Mikey and how basically before Mikey had separated from all of them, he had moved out when he was around 17. Draken says that Mikey basically, he thought, just to say the future, that he shouldn't interact with anyone else. Like, the only person they thought would be good to interact with him would be Takemichi, because Takemichi could handle whatever Mikey would do. And Takemichi says Mikey had the right idea, but he went in the wrong direction about it. I guess it would be good for him to not, like, he shouldn't interact with anyone that would be considered a delinquent. Or an ex-delinquent. Unless it's like us, because we've settled. Now, Draken kind of insists that Takemichi doesn't go after Mikey because he's really dangerous now and brings up the Kantomanji gang. But Takemichi doesn't listen. Watch it quick. Alright, so Takemichi would hear about Kantomanji gang, and it's been around for a few years. Now Takemichi, he would start kind of digging up information on the members, and he finds out the members. The leader is Mikey. The second in command would be Sanzu. The second in command is Mucho. Third in command, Sanzu. Then we have Kaku, Koko, the Raitani brothers, Madarame. Basically, all of the heavenly kings of Tenjiku, except for Hanma, and then 2 members from Tomon. And who else should I add? Choji, Chombo, and Chome. Those guys. Then Osanai, and those are the main members that we have by name. Then Takemichi would look for them, and Draken tried to stop him, look to Tora, but Takemichi would insist that he does it, and eventually does find their hideout. Now, when he gets to the door, he knocks on it, and Sanzu kind of opens the door, putting a gun at him, saying, "Now, what do you think you're..." Before he can finish the sentence, Takemichi kicks him in the face, basically cracking his skull open, and Sanzu falls over with the blood pouring from his head. Now, Kaku was peeking from a doorway, wondering who's knocking the door. He saw Sanzu pointing a gun. He's like, "Oh," but then he saw Sanzu's head basically get kicked in, and he instantly didn't want to do anything because he saw who walked in. He doesn't do anything about it. He knows it. When he just closes and locks the door, and says, "All right, Kaku, come out. I saw you." Kaku walks out saying, all right, Takemichi, what do you want?" Takemichi then says, "Where's Mikey?" Kaku then says, "Well, I can't tell you that." Takemichi then just appears right in front of Kaku kicking him in the face, knocking him out. He lands and proceeds to run around the building, and he went through Madarame, Mochi, the Raitani brothers, and eventually he would get to the room where Mikey is, and he would see Mucho and Mikey. Mucho gets up, pointing a gun at Takemichi, but Takemichi is holding Sanzu's sword, because Sanzu kind of just left it around in a random room. But as soon as Mucho pulled up his gun, Takemichi would throw the sword and went right through Mucho's shoulder, and Mucho would instantly drop the gun, and Takemichi would jump and kick him in the jaw, breaking it and knocking him out. And once he landed, he looked at Mikey saying, "All right, I'm gonna pissed off. Because 1, I tried contacting you on 2 numbers. you didn't answer a single one of them, we'd be able to leave them unread. 2. You missed Pachin's wedding. 3. Baji tried texting you to pick him up from physical therapy. His last day, you didn't do a thing. What the hell is your problem? This is what Mikey even says. It's better if everyone stays away from me. So Takemichi says, no, it's better if you stay away from certain people. Not people avoid you. You avoid people. But not like this. As some Takemichi says, oh yeah, Emma's pregnant. As some Mikey even says, good for her. And then guess Draken's the dad. Takemichi would nod, saying, yeah. And they made Inupi the godfather. Listen, Mikey chuckles, saying, so Inupi and Draken are really close now. Takemichi says, yeah. They opened a bike shop and they named it after Shinichiro. Takemichi would sit down in front of Mikey, and they just kind of talk for a bit. The time capsule thing was still opened. Taiju's was just, he only attended because of Hakai, but yeah. Eventually, talking for a bit, Takemichi said, like Mikey says, alright, he'll come back, but he has to make sure that Micho's okay first. Takemichi would nod, he stands up, he'll walk away. Then he felt that Mikey was lying. As he turned around, to see Mikey pointing a gun at him, and Mikey shoots him 3 times. Takemichi falls to the ground, coughing up blood. As Mikey would walk to the roof, and Takemichi can just wobble after him. As Mikey jumps, Takemichi is able to grab Mikey, and Takemichi then says, I'm doing everything in my power to save you. But now let me do it. And Takemichi holding Mikey's hand, as Mikey then just says, fine. I will let you help me. Please lead us on the path to the correct future. Takemichi smiles, as he cries, so is Mikey, and Takemichi then appears when he is around 16. When he appears, he's like, huh? What the hell? It's on his body saying, what just happened? Then he looks in the mirror, realizing that he's 16. Well, he's a teenager again. He didn't know his age. He checks the date, realizing it's been on time. He's 16 and he's in high school. Then Takemichi then starts thinking, saying, as an adult, I was way taller than Draken. I was at least 6'6". He checks how tall he is at 16, and he's like, 6'4", so it's still pretty big. And he would walk outside as he sees Chifuyu, Hakai, Mitsuya, Akun, Yamagishi, Yamamoto, and Suzuki, with Chifuyu, Hakai, and Mitsuya. All of them except for Takemichi's other 4 friends are on motorcycles. Well, Hakai isn't. He's in the car. He's in the car with Yuzuha. Taiju had moved overseas to sell some of Hakai, to sell some of Mitsuya's stuff. But yeah, so Takemichi just gets on the back of Shifuyu's bike and start driving. Now Takemichi, when he was like 14, 15, he was a lot more bulky instead of lean, but he kind of slimmed down a bit, and he gets pretty lean, but I would describe his body type now as like Bon from Seven Deadly Sins. That's basically describes his body type, just not as tall. So when they get to school, they kind of go over everything, and first Chifuyu just as they're driving to school, then Takemichi whispers into the ear saying, "Dude, I accidentally time leaped." So when they school, Takemichi just go over everything that happened. Like Mikey basically just went AWOL, and when he tried to track down Mikey, he succeeded in beat up a lot of members of 2 ex-members of Temon and other members of Tenjiku, but Mikey had shot him, and then when Mikey asked him to save him, they're kind of holding hands because he's holding Mikey up over the ledge, and then eventually he time leaped. Shifuyu is shocked, saying, "Well, what was happening before you left?" Takemichi's like, "Well, I was at Pachin's wedding. Baji finished physical therapy, and I was about to be married. Damn it!" Hina also looked really hot. And Tree says, "Damn it. You and your hero complex." This one time Takemichi sighs, saying, "I can't help it." But eventually at the end of the day, Takemichi was going to go to Draken's bike shop, and when he went there, Draken started talking. Now, eventually, they come going on a walk. Draken's on break, and they hear a motorcycle revving. Now, let me get my paper set up because it shouldn't take too long. That paper not needed. Paper needed. Not needed. Not needed. This works. Alright. So, also about Mucho in this part. Mucho was not killed by Sanzu, because if Mucho died, Takemichi would still be a little mad. So, yeah, and Takemichi would probably kill him, so. Either way, if Sanzu were to kill Mucho, something would happen that isn't going to be good. Now, Takemichi, anything pause real quick. Alright, yep, I have what I need. Takemichi and Draken are on a walk. Motorcycle would drive by them, and right now, and Kanto Manji gang, it's really kind of just like Mikey and Mucho and Sanzu, and some other random people from like Tenjiku. Not much other people, but yeah, Kaku, Ron, Rindo, Mochi, Madarame, people like that. They're in a different gang. But a motorcycle drives by, and it throws Inupi. Now, Takemichi, he kind of saw Inupi flying, just grabbed Inupi's foot before Inupi hit the ground and flung him back in the air. Well, not like threw him, but he just raised him up in the air, and that was enough for Inupi to kind of just like flip back onto his feet. Suddenly, they're surrounded by, first by Brahmin, that's one of the new gangs, then Mokuhara Tandai, them, and then some miscellaneous members of Kanto Manji gang. And, not Kanto actually, just like Brahmin and Mokuhara Tandai. So, once they're surrounded, let me find the gang real quick. So they're surrounded, not by a lot of people, but still surrounded. And they see Sasu. He's gigantic. He's like 6'8", he towers over Draken. But eventually he tries to recruit Draken into Rokara Tandai. Then he sees Takemichi and tries to recruit him, and Inupi's pretty strong, so he tries to recruit him too. But as in Draken says, keep us three out of it. We're not interested in being delinquents anymore. We established that we were some of the strongest delinquents in Japan. It's all we wanted to do, and we did it. Now Sasu then tries to punch Draken in the face, but when he tries to, he feels his fist stopped immediately, and he lets Takemichi grab his fist. Now Takemichi is actually laid low and fighting for a bit because he's on a small break from dojo, and that's when Draken says, he turns around and looks at Inupi saying, "Hey, after Takemichi does his thing, I want to order burgers or something." And that's when Inupi says, "Yeah, sure." And Sasuke's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He goes punch Takemichi in the face again, but both of his arms are grabbed, and when he goes for a kick, Takemichi's kick to the face or to his chin is a lot faster. Sasuke sent flying into the air, and Takemichi would appear right above him before he's too far off the ground, and punches him in the stomach, sending him flying back down. Now, Madarame and Mochi are part of Rondai, not Rondai, Mokuhara's Tandai. They're part of that gang, and they would run at Takemichi, but he would kind of dodge. And when Madarame faced Takemichi, he kind of the finger pistol, placed one finger on Madarame's on his face, and Madarame's like, "What the hell are you doing?" But Takemichi's own version went into punch, then Miyu's sending Madarame flying back. Then he kind of basically still having his walled up and then basically backhand and Mochi in the jaw, knocking him out. Now suddenly an umbrella sent flying at Takemichi, as he would just dodge it pretty easily. And then he would look at through it. Looks like a little kid, but then next to her is not next to her, but next to them. Takemichi can't tell it's a girl yet. It's Akashi, Arashi, Wakasa, and yeah. So when she sees them, Takemichi asks if they're here for a fight too, and they say no, they're here to recruit him. And Draken says, "No, keep him out of it. He should not be part of this at all. He doesn't need to be." But Senju, the little girl, then says, "And what are you going to do if we don't? Fight us?" And Arashi then says, "And you don't want to try it, Draken." And Draken looks at Arashi saying, "Did he beat you up at one point?" And Draken says, once why. But when we looked at Takemichi again, he was gone. Takemichi was right behind Arashi, put him in a chokehold, and he's choking him out. Arashi's using all the strength to pull Takemichi's arm, but it's not budging. Eventually, Arashi is choked out immediately, and Takemichi looks at Akashi and Senju and Wakasa. I'm pretty sure Wakasa and Akashi are the same person, but look at Wakasa if I'm wrong. Akashi will look at Takemichi asking, are you trying to start a war with us, or is this you establishing your dominance? Then Takemichi then says, we're holding up traffic. And Brahmin, you seem interesting. That's Tanda, get out of here. Alright, so Takemichi would tell Tanda that they can leave. He'll go with Brahmin, and Draken and him will go with Brahmin. And Inupi. So they get back to Draken and Inupi's bike shop, and Draken then thanks Takemichi for just donating a lot of money recently. And Brahmin's actually a little confused because they've heard of Takemichi that he's just he's a master martial artist. That was in Tomon that turned Black Dragons, then turned Bone Ten. So yeah. Now, eventually, once Senju hears that, yes, Draken, what do you mean a large sum of, he put a large donation in? So Draken says, so you obviously didn't do your research. Takemichi is very rich. Very. And what she is. So, Takemichi, I'm putting in dollars. I'd say like $200,000. That's how much money he has in total. He's not super rich, but he has a lot of money for being 16. Then you hear that, he's a little shocked, and says Akashi and Arashi. Now, make sure. Okay, so Wakasa, Akashi, and Arashi are shocked at how much money Takemichi has. And Senju actually just asked Takemichi, one of the questions she first asked was were you close with Mikey like Draken was? And Takemichi says that, him and Mikey are actually very close. But he doesn't want to give him a lot of information about him, so he says, me and him are on good terms. And Senju knows what Takemichi's doing. And, by the way, Arashi's knocked out, but Akashi carried him inside with Wakasa's help. And eventually, they kind of interrogate Takemichi, but his answers annoy them. Eventually, Senju asks Takemichi again, can you join Brahmin? And she reveals that Draken and Inupi already did. And Takemichi then says, And I guess I can point out something that Draken and Inupi obviously don't know. This Senju says, oh yeah, what's that? So Takemichi says, you're a girl. And Draken and Inupi wait, what? As Senju says, how'd you know? Doesn't Takemichi says, your jacket's slightly open. And we'll see the outline of the bra. Senju says, damn it! And she then says, the shirt I wore underneath is too loose. The shirt I wore underneath is too loose. And some Takemichi will chuckle, saying, alright, fine, I'll join. And Senju's like, okay. Well, with your strength, your money, and I guess your reputation will be pretty high up. Akashi, do you mind if you take spot second in command? Akashi says, even if I did care about it, he'd take it from me either way. So, nah, don't really care. Go ahead. So I'm just kind of chuckles and, alright. Well, I guess I'm second in command now. Since Senju has Takemichi meet her at this place, Senju will tell Takemichi meet her here at this time. Tomorrow. Takemichi agrees. And then the next day will come, and Takemichi goes there. And you see Senju in a schoolgirl outfit. Now Senju and him go shopping. Takemichi basically just there's her chauffeur. But by the end of the day, not by the end of the day, but first Takemichi he starts seeing the glimpses of the future. Because first he sees Senju's body and his hands covered in blood, and that kind of scares him. But at the end of the day, when he's done with Senju, gives her stuff, and she goes inside her house. And she does realize she is, Sanzu's younger sister. But yeah, a few days pass, Takemichi kind of just chilling, and when he does go hang out with Draken. When he goes to hang out with Draken, and the day before, Takemichi and Hina did some things together for the first time. Well, I don't think it was for the first time actually, but they did some things, and it involved Hina screaming a lot. But yeah, now Takemichi goes to Draken's house. Draken got a new room, and Takemichi and him are gonna hang out in there for a bit. Draken starts talking about Kanto Manji Gang and Mikey, and eventually Takemichi concludes that if he wants Mikey to come back, as Draken says, not Draken, Takemichi will then reveal in the future that Mikey, is still like this. Draken and Takemichi conclude that they might have to beat the crap out of Mikey for him to come back. But with that conclusion, and I'm in this part here, the new part will come, the more Tokyo Revengers manga advances, as I caught up basically the most recent chapter. Hope you guys enjoy. Like, subscribe, comment, like the video, comment if you didn't like it. Bye.